Welcome to the next installment of the Dismount podcast, and today we are discussing hard work in your head or a track record to prove it. That's the conversation today. We will dive into our own deep psyches of our relationships with hard work today. This is not here's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 process to be able to become a hard worker. This is a learn from the mistakes that we've made and or learn from the things that we're trying to do for the future now. So today, our intentions are to discuss 4 topics. We're going to define hard work to us. We're going to define our relationship currently with hard work. We're going to talk about the concept of always busy versus always working hard. And then last but not least, we're going to dive into a little bit of who works harder, the homesteader or the entrepreneur. The first time we were going to discuss this episode, we originally had the Fortune 500 person or the CEO versus
now I'm remembering
versus the farmer or versus the completely self-sufficient, off-grid person. And now we've kind of transitioned that into the homesteader versus the entrepreneur, which is 2 things that I feel like kind of where we're flowing towards in life right now for all of us, whether it's one path or the other, or whether it's a combination of the 2. I would say that all of us are somewhat building towards that type of situation right now, whether it's being an entrepreneur or it's building out a home that, we can be a little bit more self-sufficient on, whether that's, the fig tree that Titty has in his backyard actually growing some figs or not. That's 2.
It has 3.
It has 3, dude. That's
Fig count.
That's such a heartbreak, dude. Homeboy asks you to keep his fig tree and it literally produces 3 figs.
I don't even like figs.
I don't even like figs.
It's honestly in my way of my lawnmower a little bit.
Oh, I'm sure it's a pain in the ass to cut around.
It looks pretty. That's all that counts, I guess.
Yeah. So you don't like figs? I'm not big on figs.
I try them every 7 years. I've never liked them.
I'm not a big Fig Newton person either. Like, that would be like the extent of where I would go with figs.
Fig Newtons are trash.
Would you say the trash of the cookie world?
Trash of the cookie world, and figs they look like what I assume an insect would look like before it hatched.
Oh my Lord.
It's disgusting. I don't know what's in there.
Some people say that there are insects within figs when you eat them.
Yeah, I'm good, dude. Thanks.
Yeah, forget that. So, defining our relationship with hard work. For me, like my definition of what hard work was, growing up was this person who, I watched my dad literally work, 2 or 3 jobs at a time. My mom was going to school while working a job and raising a family. Crazy amount of just constantly go until it was all right, I've literally given everything I can. I'm literally going to sleep this entire day away. I've gotten a day off and I don't even get to go do anything with my day off because all I'm trying to do is just recuperate from literally just the hellstorm that I've put myself through for such a long time. So my definition of hard work was go, continue working, always have something on your to-do list, always have a task that you're working towards, something that you're trying to accomplish. And now, for me, hard work has really transitioned into something different. And I would say that hard work for me is, I've been working on trying to build this routine in life, and hard work, I literally have 8 things here of hard work is, all these different things of hard work is not crushing yourself with a meat tenderizer, though it is being able to be beat with a meat tenderizer over and over again and not give up, picking yourself up to fight another day. That was a concept that was inside of my head, just literally just pounding myself with a meat tenderizer just to Isley's chip chopped ham and just have nothing left besides just to lay there just absolutely defeated in life. And now hard work for me is hard work is taking that time to shut down and not do something. How freaking hard. I know you had some comments on this one, of just trying to actually stop your brain from working might be the hardest thing that I've had to do recently in my life.
I kind of was in the same boat growing up, and then realizing as we started taking notes on this episode that the hardest possible thing for me to do is to actually stop working, which completely contradicts the idea, but that is honestly what I'm incapable of doing. And if I look at hard work of like what actually is going to benefit the growth of me and how I want to continue to further myself, it is those times of slowing down and recovering and seeing the opportunities that I have to, take care of myself and not worry so much about what I want to give to others and defining that as the hard work of my life.
Dude, cutting off my brain and trying to just sit there and just like not think about stuff. And I've been trying to meditate for probably the better part of 2 or 3 years now. I don't think I've ever actually meditated correctly.
It's hard.
I was telling my grandma this the other day. I was sitting down and talking to her, and I was like, yeah, I try to meditate, like, try to get like 30 minutes in the grass at work every day. Like, I don't let myself not take a lunch nowadays, and I go sit in the grass and I try to like decompress some of that. But I told my grandma, I was like, I set a timer for 30 minutes, and like 3 to 5 minutes into that 30-minute timer, my brain has shut down because I'm now sleeping in the grass. And I pop up from that 30 minutes just rested like I got an 8-hour night of sleep. And you're like, that was kind of cool. I definitely didn't get any of these freaking downloads that people are saying of like their higher self talking to them while they're meditating or having that like third eye open and see some shit.
Yeah, anytime I've taken like the guided meditations on my phone, or I've gotten some good advice early on with meditation of it just being the ability of sitting so still that you can feel, like you can identify with your individual limbs. Like I can sit there so still that I can feel what it's like to just feel my arms and the inside of my arms. And like, like the vibrations you have through your body. Like that's where you can start to at least get to that point where you're not focused on anything but grounding yourself. And that has helped. But I don't think I've gotten too far in the sense of, like you said, like achieving a higher state of consciousness through meditation. I think the best I've gotten out of it is feeling like I just took the best nap ever. Even if it's 5 minutes of just closing my eyes.
Have you been doing any meditating, Tit?
I have not been doing, I would say the last meditation I've done is probably minimum 2 years ago.
Okay.
And when I did, one of the coolest things I would do is I would do a plug for the Honest guys. They do a great job. Australian guys. I would actually, one of my most popular times doing meditations whenever I did commercial cleaning, and I would do it during my 15-minute break. I had 2 15-minute breaks. So I would meditate right before the sun went down. And then by the time I was done meditating, my head would be clear, and then it'd be like you just woke up into a whole different atmosphere. And most popular ones I would do is for anxiety, stress, and just trying to relax. So you're just trying to bring yourself down. And this is after I'm like running around cleaning stuff, and I have a time schedule I have to be on, but I'm like, well, not right now. This is your allocated time where you're just supposed to be. And that's, to me, one of the hardest things. One of the other best experiences I had was up at Slippery Rock. It was finals. I remember I was studying behavioral stats, getting ready for finals, and I was like, you need a break. I walked up from the library, laid in the middle of a field, and it's like I just woke up. And when I came out of it, I was like, damn, I really needed that. Like, certainly, like, just like you guys talked about shutting down, I don't think anyone can relate to it more than somebody who's in the middle of finals week, unless you're like exercise science. Those people are crazy at Slippery Rock for studying everything they study. But yeah, I would say during finals week, you're like, every second counts. I need to know every single thing. And then it's like, yeah, but like, have you taken care of yourself today? It's like a lot of people, they're forgetting to eat. They're caffeinated, overworked, not enough sleep, not even drinking water. And then you want to ask this person to stop and meditate. And everyone's probably like, no, hell no. I need every second until I sit down for that test. So for me, I fell off the wagon for meditating. I kind of treated it like flossing. It's like, yeah, I'm good. I brushed my teeth, so I'm good. It's like, right, but what do you do about in between your teeth? It's like, nothing.
Old question, Cotton.
There's always someone telling you should do it, and you just go, oh yeah, I've done that. And then the dentist gets in there. They're like, no, you didn't. You clearly have not been doing this.
I have to say that is so freaking cool because, like, for me, 4 years ago, like, talking about meditation or any of that kind of stuff, I would think that you were talking about, like, the Dalai Lama or some monk on the side of a hill that was not even remotely close to who I would associate myself with. And now I feel like I want to be that person really bad. So, like, experience that. I will say the one thing that I found really interesting in the notes that we were taking was our conversation last week when we were biking about ignorance is bliss. And just, I feel like it can be such hard work to be on either side of the spectrum. And the spectrum that I'll be referencing is like pure enlightenment versus like pure stuck in just absolute matter, like not heading towards the light, but just you've lowered your vibration all the way down to just, you're just matter. You just exist. Either side, man, from what I've been like sitting here, like thinking about over the last week, is challenging. Because on one side, I can remember thinking about 4 years ago and just like how I said it in one of the clips that we have from the one episode, like the versions that I'm talking about of me prior to 4 years ago was like a human that didn't even really probably know he was a human. Like he was just so disconnected, like didn't know what was going on, felt rocked, like was so worried about getting to the next tax bracket, getting to the next title at work, getting to the engineering manager, getting to this, getting to that, getting to the place where I would be able to sit at my house in my boxers and just approve drawings and call it a day. Dude, heading towards enlightenment or heading towards like all the matter and the things, I don't give a shit which way you're going. That is a challenge. That is hard.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. And then the way I was thinking about too would be that you're kind of ending up in the same place anyway. So why does it matter? Like if I'm so down in the in just on planet Earth, you know, doing the planet Earth thing, then when you get all the way up to enlightenment, you're kind of just alleviating the same anxieties. You're kind of achieving the same thing, in my opinion, of just going with the flow. Like, hey, I'm out here enjoying it day by day. I'm not really thinking too much, but I think the difference there is the perspective you have on what you interact with on a daily basis, or the things that come your way, or the problems you have, or whatever it may be. That's where, in the lower level of where I still probably am, I allow those things to have a big impact on the way I live my life. Where, as if I had the meditation and the itch to be a little more on the enlightened end, I'd be able to take those circumstances. And I think, like when we were defining hard work, I was thinking about like the overcoming the obstacles, the passion, the dedication, the consistent hard work, like the growth you want to see when you're putting those things in. And I think with the enlightenment side, it's so much easier to see those achievements, where if you're just stuck in the like the roots of it all, then you're just kind of worried about, oh, is this going to screw me up? Is this going to screw me up? Oh man, this guy's taking advantage, yada, yada, yada. And you eventually, like I said, you get to the same place of being not too worried about what happens on a day-to-day basis. But eventually, I think when you're stuck in those lower levels of vibration or whatever, I'm sure you would tell me that I'd go, oh man, I'm going to let things bum me out a little more. There's things getting in my way. But if I go to the higher end, then I could sit there and look at myself and go, okay, like there's a reason why this happened. Now I just got to go figure out what's actually out there for me. And that's something I'm still struggling with, for sure.
Yeah. I would say I'm struggling extremely difficult with that situation because, like, for instance, I went to a golf outing yesterday. I'm not a drinker anymore. Like, will I throw down and go freaking buck wild? Yeah, I'll throw down and I can go buck wild with the best of them. But like on a Monday, like going to play golf, like I know some of these guys that are there, like they're there because they work in a mill and this is the day they got off to be able to go play golf, a sport that they love, and there's free beer. I'm going to pound all the free beer I can. I'm going to take advantage of this. So for me, like I go into the situation and like, it's hard for me to like not, I guess I worry too much sometimes about making other people feel uncomfortable. Like I showed up with a frickin' half-gallon mason jar of lime juice, mineral salt, and just water yesterday. I literally tried to make like nature's Gatorade.
Someone's like, is that a mojito?
Yeah, someone was like, damn, bro, you're really throwing down today, dude. Let me get a rip of that. And I was just like, it's pretty lame, dude. It's just lime juice and it's just key lime juice and, some mineral salt and water. What the fuck are you drinking that for? Oh, dude, I'm not feeling too hot today. I got to try to pump in as many minerals as I can. I'm definitely deficient. And then you go to like the dinner.
Respect also.
You guys are hilarious, dude. Because it's so weird. Like I'm sitting there, like Eric asked me today about like the bike trip that we're about to go on. What are you going to take? And I'm like, dude, honestly, after this past weekend and like the last couple weekends, I eat fruit all week. Maybe I throw in a meal when I've like, the one day I ripped out, like I played pickleball. I think I burned like 4,000 calories that day. So like even without like the added substance that I normally like to enjoy, I was friggin' hungry, dude. I was ready to pound something, a smash burger, something. And I ate a shit ton that day. But I had done a shit ton of work to get that food. But like I come to the weekend and my whole routine that I've been doing that I absolutely love, this like 2-page routine, nosedive. Just the last couple weekends, like I'll do it on Saturday. I'll write my 2 things. Sunday comes around, kind of fall off. Don't journal. Monday comes around. Fuck, I got to catch back up.
Well, that's where the hard work conversation comes in for me, in the sense of my skewed perception of what hard work is. Because I can go out and ride our bike 30 miles, 20 miles, like if we're doing the panhandle like we've been trying to do, and like just keep cooking on that pace we've been working on the last couple times we've been out there. That in itself is 100% hard work. I know a lot of people who would never, and they look at me when it's like, oh yeah, I did this and that on a Tuesday, and they go, the hell is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Because I've always looked at hard work as just torturing myself. If I physically torture myself, I'm working hard. And that's all it ever was. Like I had 2 jobs pretty much most of my adult life. I working and going to school, or 2 jobs after school, or whatever it may be. And those like physical exertions for somebody else were always my definition of hard work. But then I start thinking about how we did like the journaling a few months back at the beginning of the year around our first bike trip this year. And that's hard work. That's hard fucking work. And for some reason, I'm so much more willing to offer up all that energy and give myself to a task that really doesn't, it really doesn't benefit me. I mean, it does, and I can see growth and whatever I mean, but as far as how it relates back to me in the long term, outside of money, I mean, that's kind of all that's there. There's some growth in some other instances, and I'm not going to be like, too blunt about how my job doesn't help me grow, because I don't feel that way. But when I compare it back to the journal, for instance, I could not for the life of me stay consistent with it. And it makes me think of my job in general, like, oh, I can outwork somebody if I want to make more calls than someone. That's like the physical labor I would, look at in this instance. But then I look at, okay, but am I being efficient and then also prospecting new leads and calling these people and holding myself for the accountable for the follow-ups, and then I'm checking on this new business I've been working on, this and this. That's hard work to make sure I'm balanced. Not so much that I'm just going to make more calls than the guy next to me and now I'm the hardest worker in the room.
Yeah.
That's not what it is. So just like, combining that with the way I look at my personal life is, yeah, I can go out and ride a bike and feel good about the physical exertion, but that's like, it's like level number 1. Like physical exertion. I wrote down a few other ones. I was thinking of like ranking the different types of hard work. Like, sure, there's the physical, but then there's like your emotional, like working hard towards emotional balance, just inner balance in general, just the balance of life and making sure you're okay, I'm focused on work. Now I leave work and I go home and I'm willing to, like you've been doing, you're holding yourself accountable with these lists and making sure that there is a balance of what Zach does for Zach and what Zach does for other people. And then, as I mentioned, the physical, and then there's like, wrote down like your values or your integrity, making sure you're staying true to your morals. And then trying to combine all of that, dude, I'm in easy mode. I'm playing Madden on rookie right now.
Yeah.
it sucks because you start thinking about it. God damn, bro, 32 years? We're still playing on easy mode?
Yeah.
That's how I feel about Rocket League, man. I fucking suck at Rocket League. I'm like level 1000.
Whoa.
Been playing forever.
You're great compared to me. Let's slow that down.
Yeah, I'm great compared to you. Wait till AJ comes around.
Yeah, who doesn't play? Just pops in whenever he wants. Oh, yeah, you guys are playing that game. Sure, I'll join.
Yeah.
And then absolutely shits on everybody.
And then he cooks the greatest steak ever made from a
Yeah.
YouTube video.
I don't know, man. I know somebody who made some deer steaks at one point in time.
Those are
Those are
good.
pretty damn good.
That was,
went-
yeah, that was lucky.
Not to side, we just went the steak route. I did go to a steak restaurant for the first time in my life on Saturday for dinner, and I ordered a New York strip steak and a crab cake. So I wanted a crab cake, and the guy did not bring me a New York strip steak. He brought me a filet mignon, a 12-ounce filet mignon, which was $30 more than I was hoping to pay on a steak. And I took one bite. I knew by looking at it, it was not what I order. I'm at least that cultured
Yeah.
toward Hudson meat. And I took one bite. I'm like, I'm not fucking giving this back. You know, meat is a fun game, man. If you start actually getting to the high levels. But then I turn around, look at the steaks that Zach made at your bachelor party. I'm like, maybe not, man. Deer's pretty good too. You prep it the right way.
Yeah, we lucked out on that one being frickin' fire.
That shit was delicious. DeMarco killed it
Fun
with
fact,
the cut.
I had moose this weekend.
Moose, how was that?
Moose.
It was gamey and delicious.
Nice.
It was to me, it was just deer, but a higher level deer.
Yeah.
So I was going to ask you about your hierarchy system there. I
Mhm.
totally wanted to hear about that. I want to hear from Diddy. What's this? Don't cry to quit. Cry to keep going.
Oh yeah, there's Eric Thomas. If you are somebody who is having a really hard time getting motivated, guy Eric Thomas, he might be your guy. If you are somebody who's into sports, I think this guy just been through hell and back. He had a really rough upbringing, and he had a really hard time. And he kind of one of those guys who he's a motivational speaker, and he kind of yells as he's communicating his messages. He's like, "Don't cry to quit. Gotta keep going. Like, cry for strength." Like, he talks about, like, you know, it's, if you're gonna cry to give up, don't cry to give up. Cry so you can keep mustering up the strength to live to fight another day. So he really talks and grinds that message into you. And for a time period of my life, I'll say it was, you know, grad school, working on stuff and trying to do, like, when I say working on stuff, I say grad school, going to work, and then doing internship, and then trying to work out actively. So my schedule was completely packed. Somehow, miraculously, I found the one and got married during that time in my life. I don't know how I pulled that off, but humble's how. Yeah. If you don't have time to go out and meet people, you know, you use the internet. But yeah, so honestly, a lot of times I just use him to work out, because after you've given everything, you don't want to go to the gym. I can speak for that when I was a machinist. You don't want to go to the gym after you work 12 hours, sometimes even 13, and you use your hands. It's certainly when we're digging ditches, but it's a little bit more mental sometimes than that. Yeah, he talks about don't cry to quit, try to keep going. And, you know, sometimes it's like that, you know, you've given all you have. And we talk about, like, don't just be the busy work, but if you're on a mission and you're trying to get somewhere and you have multiple different things that you're working on, in my case, it was the education, the internship, and also trying to go to work out and your job, like your side job. So it was like, for him, I listened to him while I worked out because it was just multitasking. I'm like, okay, I need to pump my brain full of, like, a mentality that will get me through the next couple of days. So I was just programming my mind while I was working out.
Pretty badass.
So thanks, dog. I definitely would say that's not for everyone. You met my old roommate, Adam. I gave him, like, that as a gift, like, shared that with him. He's like, man, I don't know how you do that. I can't listen to that guy. I just listen to music. And I'm like, not for everyone. You know, it's certainly, if all three of us, we've played football and had a coach yell at us. If you've played football, you've been yelled at. It's like, been yelled at, like, move your ass. Like, you're not trying. Like, I want to see you actually do something, or you're going to be running. So that's kind of the mentality. Don't cry to quit. Try to keep going.
Yeah.
I liked your comparison of hard work to sports. and hard work and sports to me were like hand in hand, because everything that we're talking about now about actually like disconnecting and being able to like prolong your situation, prolong your life, prolong your, health expectancy, all that kind of stuff, to like do these things that like we're actually like taking the time for us. To me, sports, high level, you can't, like Derry was saying, like him and we're literally trying to get to a place where we can do 20 miles in an hour so that we keep a 20-mile-an-hour pace for an hour.
Fucking impossible.
It's hard. We're gonna get there. It's challenging when you have to cross, like you're on a rails to trails and you have to keep crossing roads where someone's driving and you're like, gotta slow down. Then you gotta get your pace back up.
We got to find 20 straight miles.
Or hit a velodrome. Might try to hit a velodrome and try that out.
Word of the day.
Velodrome.
Yeah, go ahead and hit me. What is a velodrome?
A velodrome is like when they race inside of the dome and it's the banked walls.
Oh.
They have some of them around here that are in Ohio that are outside.
Sounds like my nightmare to ride around in circles.
Yeah, I don't like that idea. Like I feel like it'd be badass if you're on one of those teams and like the full atmosphere, like the Olympics and that kind of stuff, or like Worlds and that.
Yeah, I don't want to say physical exertion is the easiest to achieve as far as hard work goes, but I think it is, in my opinion. It's now, that being said, I wrote down, I'm sure there's some Zen Buddhist monks who are chubby as well.
I was dying when I read that, dude.
Like thinking about like they're not too worried about doing push-ups, you know. They're good. They'll be all right. So yeah, I'm sure they could, strive to maybe, get one of those hit workouts in or whatever the hell someone else is doing on TikTok. But when I think about that, like with work combined with my perspective and you growing up with sports, like, yeah, it carried over well because I was able to see things in myself that I didn't think were there by just pushing myself every single day. Having like a coach who, I think we talked about this, like the mentor episode, about, someone believing in you before you believe in yourself, or seeing what you're capable of before you're capable of yourself. I think that's why the physical exertion, like you said, with, whoever you may listen to while you're working out, or having a coach screaming at you at 5 a.m. through a bullhorn or whatever, what's going on. That's easier to achieve when you have that motivation behind. The motivation for inner work, we're really there. You got to do it for yourself.
You're doing it all for you. There is no accolades. There is no...
You don't get a medal.
There's nothing I get to... There's no Strava. There's no pin. There's no nothing. There's no... Hey, guys, I meditated I meditated every day this week.
No one's liking my Instagram story if I say I meditated every day this week.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, screw that guy. What an asshole.
I slept too.
Yeah, you want to see my schedule of naps I took?
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's interesting too to think about our parents. Like, I think we're three guys that had come from perspectives where our fathers were incredibly hardworking people. Mm-hmm. Like your dad did postal and landscaping.
Yeah.
Right? My dad, 60 hours minimum a week in his gig. Brandon's
2 full-time jobs.
2 full-time jobs, and also one of the most giving people in the world. Like your dad prioritized...
Works on the weekend.
Yeah, he
just for friends.
Yeah, he prioritized the friends and family over himself. And that mentality, I think, carries over to the way we look at working hard. My dad specifically, I think my dad would be okay with me saying that he was a shithead when he was younger, because of the story he gets to tell after, where he, goes into Marine Corps, finds discipline, finds structure, and then becomes a police officer and is able to, be a veteran for the community, and was recognized in many manners in that way, which is awesome. It's a great story to tell. But as far as raising 2 boys and trying to get their asses to not fall into the same traps he did when he was younger, what was the best way for him to do that? Let's treat the house like it was a Marine camp. Like, oh shit, you kids don't want to get out of bed at 7:30? What if I just played Marine Corps anthems and flicker the lights and started singing? Yeah, like shit like that, where you oh man, I gotta get going. You gotta shock the system, and like you can't say no at that instance too. So I think about it in the sense of like programming yourself for hard work too. There's different ways to approach it, and I think it's very easy to find that physical level, that surface level of hard work. But I think just as I dug into this, man, that inner work, and like you said, there's no accolades for doing it for yourself.
Yeah.
And that's what I think I found the hardest part for me.
Also, there's a crazy part about sports, and I have to plug it in because I know, based on previous episodes, you've did the same thing. One of the places I reference for sports for hard work is lacrosse. Anybody who's listening to this right now is like, oh, great, another white guy talking about lacrosse. Be like, yeah.
Another lax, bro.
Another lax, bro. They must come for money. Wrong. So
Wrong.
I think in lacrosse, it's one of those sports where you can't just be good. You have to be good and have a finesse about you. You have to understand the sport, but you also have to be super coordinated. You have to be super coordinated and learn how to make that coordination happen in a live game. And
Oh my goodness, dude. I absolutely got my ass handed to me at that war at the shore. Absolutely got my ass handed to. I might have touched the ball one time, like in terms of actually getting an opportunity to shoot, and I was not switching from my left hand, and I knew I was like, this ain't going to be a great shot, but I'm not fucking changing it to my right hand because I was coming across the crease. It's like, I'm not switching back and looking like a bitch who can only shoot righty.
Yep.
Dude, I got, after years of playing lacrosse, opportunities to play D1, turning them down to go to school for academics, taking 10 years off and trying to come back with some homies, I looked like a fucking clown.
Yep.
A clown there.
You said the key words too. Left. There's so much separation between a good player and a great player. If you can't use your offhand, then you're terrible. It doesn't matter how good your right hand is. You can't live with your right
It's so
hand.
true. It's so
you have
true.
to switch.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I'll play indoor soccer on Tuesdays, and even the best, I'm not. Let me preface this, and I am not good. So I feel bad talking about kids who are better than me, but there's a reason why that kid's playing Tuesday night indoor in a golf. You know, he's really good with one foot.
Yeah.
He will never touch the ball with the other foot.
Yeah.
There's different levels to it for sure. And that's why, again, like the addiction to a craft and the passion towards it, I think is so hard, where the way I perceive the physical hard work isn't really much through like the lacrosse, like the finesse and the precision of it. That's genuine. I think you need every layer of what I've mentioned as far as like the rankings of different levels of hard work. You need all of that to really be a high level athlete. And even lacrosse, like I think of the same thing as soccer, like the coordination you need is insane.
I think all of the sports in general, like outside of like, because even like a baseball, man, like even baseball, like I understand I'm just stepping into a hitter's box, but that dude's throwing that ball 100 and some miles an hour. And like for me to connect with that ball and to get it somewhere, that takes exponential amount of skill. Like I think every sport in general, outside of maybe power walking, sorry to come after you guys, but like speed walking, like I feel like speed walking, if I just have the right hips, I might be able to work it out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Not to shoot shots at the speed walkers, but sometimes you look at some things in the Olympics and you're like, son of a what the hell?
Yeah.
Or breakdancing.
Yeah. And that's where like the high level of sports for me was where I was going with, like, you have to take those days to recoup. You have to take those regenerative days where like I'm not working to my fullest capacity. I'm doing 30% today and I'm hitting the ice bath and I'm hitting the cryotherapy. I'm hitting the sauna. Like that's what my day is today, is just a recovery day. And so like you don't see athletes going every single day. And then like someone like I'm going to mess up his last name, but his first name's Jonas, Jonas. Dude's an absolute badass. And I'm meant to meet up with him when he was doing his last, like, he's either finishing up right now, literally an ultra marathon every day for like 100 and some days in a row. Like he's just getting up every day and doing a full freaking, like a full Ironman. Like that's insane to me. Just every day, Ironman, back to back to back. Like I can't even comprehend like the mental fortitude, like what you have to do to your joints, what you have to do for your muscles to do something like that.
But then I ask, what? You know, why are you doing that? And I'm sure, believe me, I'm not talking about this guy like that. And I'm like, I look at like myself as like, like you're right. That guy must have everything nailed down because the discipline that takes is crazy. But I'm just curious, man. What are you trying to prove?
I see it as something along
Only
the
because
lines of
I'm just looking at myself like there's no way. So that I think I'm coming from a place of I could never even imagine.
I see it as being something along the lines of like, for instance, like people when Usain Bolt like broke the freaking record and was an absolute animal like when it came down to running, like I wasn't sitting there going, "What a douchebag." Like I was sitting there going, "Damn, another like someone from our species is able to run that freaking fast. That some bitch can outrun a cheetah. That's freaking hard, dude. Like I run with Ruby and we try to catch the bunnies. And I know how hard it is to try to catch a little freaking bunny. And like I'm pretty close to being able to catch a bunny now. And I'm thinking about being able to run down a freaking cheetah. Holy hell. Like I sit there and go, so like for that guy, like I see that as something like, I'm not a huge fan of David Goggins. I'll fucking put it out there, man. Not a huge fan of him.
He's never gonna recover from this.
A lot of respect. He don't give a flying rat's ass about me. He don't give a flying rat's ass about me, dude. He's so far past this shit. But like his thing of just like absolutely beating the living shit out of yourself. And like, no, put that on there. All the stories of like the people who have worked out with him or whatever and said like, oh no, he told me we're doing this until you're done. And no, you can only do 10 pull-ups. No, you're going until you get 100 done. And we ain't leaving here until you do it. I'm sitting there like what inner work am I actually doing that's beneficial here right now?
Yeah, you're making me hate this.
Yeah, you're making me not enjoy this. You're making me not enjoy myself. I'm not liking but I don't know. I guess if I would be on the other end of like, now David Goggins is going to hit me up and say, come on, pussy, let's go. It's time to freaking roll. And he's going to say, you want to talk this shit? Let's fucking see what you got to say. And I'd be like, all right, beat the fuck out of me. But I'm going to look at you dead in the face and say, fuck you, dude. I ain't fucking going anymore. Because I know that I can keep going. But I'm not trying to, like, the days that you sit there and you're just like absolutely like broken. Like I do that to myself too often. Like before I even knew who David Goggins was, I literally was David Gogging. That's hilarious, dude. That is hilarious.
Or is it goggening?
I was literally goggening. I like that one too. That one's pretty ridiculous.
I was goggening so
I
hard.
was literally goggening myself like on a regular basis. And so Anastasia always would get mad at me. Like perfect example was the first time I did my first century ride. And I get done with a century, like for anybody out there who doesn't know, that's 100 miles on your bike. First time I get done with my first century ride, I couldn't even move my legs. I didn't know how I was going to drive home. I was literally bent over my bike rack on the back of my car. And these guys come over and they're like, hey, it's a nice bike rack. And I'm like, yeah, it's all right. Thanks. And they're like, you all right? I'm like, yeah. Like, stereotypical, like, Squidward sounding son of a bitch. They're like, what's wrong? I was like, I want to do my first century. Well, this is an easy way. And they're like, the fuck are you doing this on a Thursday for? I was like, dude, I don't have people to ride on the weekends with right now. I wanted to take a day off and try to do this. I get home, manage to get myself home. Haas finds me in the bathroom, literally have not taken the clothes off that I rode in the day. I got 2 bags of ice that are just completely sprawled out in the actual tub with me. I got my laptop on the toilet seat. I'm watching, I can't remember what, on probably Netflix or something. I'm watching some TV show. And I got an entire Minio's pizza just in my lap, just like literally eating a pizza. She comes home, she just walks up into the bathroom. She goes, you fucked up again, didn't you? And I do that to myself so often. Like I literally go, oh, I'm going to go do this crazy freaking thing. And then I spend a half a week to like a week trying to recover from that situation. And I know like, okay, I could build myself up to those things, kind of like the guy who I'm talking about doing all the crazy world recording kind of things. But I do it to myself too often. I try to like literally beat myself with a meat tenderizer to a pulp. And then I'm sitting there just trying to fucking piece the pieces back together.
And then what's left? You know, you probably a distaste for whatever you just did, a want to not really get into it any further. Like I look at my job, and right now is such a crunch time for it that I'm working harder than I have all summer for like the next 3 weeks probably, and I'm just trying to define what that should look like right now, to the point where I have to accept the fact that if I just go in and tenderize myself for the better part of 3 weeks, then hopefully there's something to show for it at the end. But what if there's not? Then what's left? Because that's a really true possibility. That's what happened last time when we do an open house and you try to just get as many people as you can down in a certain area to sell them. That's pretty much what it is. I got a ton of people on the phone, got a ton of people interested, and no one showed up and no one bought anything. And I sat there and what the fuck was I doing for the last month? I just lost a month.
Yeah.
You know? So that could be defined as hard work. I am working hard, but am I working productively? Am I managing myself? Am I going to be okay with whatever comes from the hard work I put in? Am I going to be willing to pick myself up the next day? Have I rested enough? Have I taken care of myself? Have I managed my relationship with my girlfriend all right? Does my family still love me? Did I eat today? Like, fuck, dude.
Woof, daddy-o.
There's too much going on, man. So that's where I start to see is you gotta, for me, you have to achieve hard work. You have to see what hard work is on a surface level. And that's where I think the physical nature of it came young on for all of us with like sports or whatever it may be. And then you got to kind of parlay that into your day-to-day life and be able to, look at your job, like, okay, cool. Like where did I get the most growth out of sports? Okay, it's when I worked really hard, took time to recover, had fun. I was passionate about it. I look forward to doing it every day. That's where I think as long as you can get the understanding of what the framework of hard work is, then you just go and parlay that into something where it's, okay, now I got to find what I'm passionate about. I got to find my true calling. And then the hard work gets me places, but it never feels like hard work along the way.
I would have to ask, for the audience out there, these guys don't know that this was your literal first summer not working a second or third job.
Yeah. Oh, thank
What
you.
a difference,
I'm an
dude.
alcoholic or something.
Hi, my name's Derek. I'm addicted to work.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of that too. Even nowadays, like with my job, we used to work long hours. Now it's a strict 40 hours a week. They'll tell me to go home. And I don't know what to do, dude. I go home and I sit there. I'll pace around sometimes. I'll just look at the ceiling. My girlfriend starts to stare at me, and it's just tough. It's like Brandon's mentioning of addicted to stress a while back. And I think you had that in notes again of, I don't know what else to do with myself in some instances. And going back to the first 10 minutes of this episode, it's the hardest work I can put in at that exact time is to sit down and focus directly on myself. So I've been able to do that over the summer. No summer gig, just short hours, going back and working myself. It's been nice. That being said, I've also been incredibly busy this summer, so it hasn't felt like I wouldn't be able to work a job anyway. But it's it goes right into kind of what we were mentioning as far as like the difference between hard work and busy work. Things that just keep you busy as opposed to things that are actually going to further you as a person. And I find myself too convinced that the things that are busy work are actually moving me forward until you just keep looking back and realizing you're in the same place over and over again.
Wow. Yeah, I know that feeling all too well. Because I'll like, for instance, even this past weekend, like I was killing myself trying to get the clips done and stuff like that. And I was sitting there and I'm like, dude, why are you literally trying to redo these clips a second time? Like you've already finished them. Like they're good. They don't have all the visuals and stuff that you've put in the last couple sets that you've done. But like, you need to move on, dude. You need to move on to the next task. Like stop trying to perfect. Sorry.
Zach and I also been getting killed by allergies, FYI.
Stop literally trying to like rewrite the hamster wheel here. And just, you have good clips. You were able to literally define what the message was that you were trying to build with these clips. They don't need to have all these extra visuals. You've already got them to where you're changing camera angles enough. You're not doing the 3-second jump cuts. You're giving some time for the person to actually see the person, feel the emotions. But I'll tell you what, man, there are too many times where I fall into that trap of just like, spending thinking I'm working so hard, and then like hitting you guys up and being like, you fucking pussies got all the passion. What's going on, dude? Like, come on now. And like, I'm just you sit there and you're like, bro, what the fuck is your problem?
And then,
Like,
and then you have to wonder what you're avoiding at that point too. Because I think a lot of the times where I kept myself busy, I was 100% avoiding something else.
I know exactly what I'm avoiding. I
was going to say, okay, what is it? You know, I know you don't have to tell us.
I
But
know exactly.
I know what I'm avoiding too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's there's the surface level, and then it's the things underneath. It's that self-work that if I just keep myself busy for the better part of 16 hours a day, then I won't ever have to think about the things that haunt me at night, because they never get a chance to even work themselves into my brain until one day I'm screaming in the middle of a Walmart and I don't know where the fuck I am, you know? I watched a movie where like it was all about repression of like your true self. God, it was on Max. I saw the TV glow. A bunch of no names. The girl that plays the daughter of Eric and Donna on that 90s show, isn't it? I think that's what Dope said.
I
He
was
was
confident
disappointed.
I could help, but I don't think I
It
can
just
help you.
came out, and it's all of younger actors. Fred Durst is in it. He's like the stepdad. Anyway, it was all about like repression of your true self. I think there's like an LGBTQ type vibe to it, which was, it doesn't matter, kind of carries over to everyone's life in the sense of like not ever identifying your true self, repressing it, being called to go after, and you avoid it every sense. And then one day, 50 years old, and you work at a freaking Dave and Buster's, wherever this dude worked, and you're at a birthday party and everyone's singing happy birthday, and you worked there 30 years and your whole life passed you by, and then this dude just belts out the nastiest scream you've ever heard, and then he has to apologize to everyone, and just like has this moment of like all that repression that built up just came out one day. And that's a huge fear of mine, man. Like, that's why I have to make sure that 31 and forward, all those times that I was probably ignoring my home life or anything that actually like happened to me as younger, or dreams I've had or demons I faced that I've just kind of stowed away by keeping myself busy. Like, it's unfortunately probably time to figure those situations out.
I know exactly what you mean.
To be honest, a lot of us are victim of the hurry child syndrome, which a lot of people don't know about. I think it's coined by Vygotsky, but he talks about us growing up. I will just wager to say most people are not experiencing hurry child syndrome. Everyone who hears about it is going to be like, that's me. But someone who's raised kind of in the home where they're going to, like, we'll just say they go before they go to start school. I'll use Derek as an example. They have crew practice. Then afterwards, maybe they might have like piano practice, then taekwondo, then football, then Boy Scouts, and then they have to do their homework when they come home, and then they go start the whole thing over again. Me, I was kind of in that boat of come home, go to taekwondo, football, Boy Scouts, and then it was 10 o'clock and I come home and I have homework, and then I go start all over again. That was my choice. Some parents force that on their children, so they grow up just always being busy, but then they're also, on the other side of the coin, experiencing they are expected to act like an adult, but treated like a child. So then they're just like, so I have all the responsibilities of an adult, but I have none of the autonomy of an adult. I'm just treated as a child. So a lot of people are kind of in that wheelhouse of, oh, so I just need to be a good boy or a good girl and a good citizen, but I really don't have any true freedom.
That's tough, dude. Yeah.
Wow.
I just look at myself like parents divorce, shared custody, back and forth every single week, plus activities, plus school, plus catering to 2 families on every holiday, every birthday, everything I've ever done. Still kind of doing that now, but it doesn't feel like the way it did when I was younger. Like, probably the reason why I can't sit still now is probably because I never sat still in the past.
And you're the older child of
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
there's that too.
Yeah, and there's responsibility that comes with that as well.
I definitely have a problem with like not being able to sit still. And I was always the kid who was making noises or percussioning on something.
I was gonna ask what the noises sounded like.
Yeah, I was just always making some type of noise. I would walk around, and I remember like being younger, and I loved college football bands, like marching bands, dude. And I would just be walking around going, like just loving life, dude. And everyone would be like, "Shut up! All right, we got it. I understand."
Now it's standing up too tall.
Yeah, way too tall. And I would say that like defining work for my hard work going for myself forward is continuing to fill out that daily devotional that I have, continuing to things that I know. Like I'll show in the clip that we cut of this one, like my 2 little sheets that I've been using, chunking off things that I know I could accomplish that evening that I'm like, nah, I don't need to stress. Like, I need to sit down and do my journal. I'll just push that off till tomorrow. And how that like snowballs. And then you get to a day where it's like Saturday and you're like, okay, I have time. I need to chunk all this stuff out because I've literally been pushing it back all week. Because I told you, I wanted to have some type of routine that had flow to it and wasn't robotic. Like, I don't want to get done with my day. And there's a lot of things that like I add to my list just so that I have like mental recognition of what I actually did. But I highlight those in orange versus highlighting something that I put on my list to start the day that I originally intended on doing. So like, for instance, a couple of days ago, last week, Ruby has a UTI. I literally spent 3 hours like laying in bed with her while she wasn't feeling good. And that like, to me, that was amazing. Like I needed the rest. She needed the rest. Was there a bunch of things that didn't get done on my list that day? Hell yeah. But at the bottom, I literally wrote, spend 3 hours in bed with Ruby. I'm not upset about this. I'm so happy that I was able to do this. And so I know you and I talked about like, oh dude, this list, holy shit, I don't like the looks of this at all. Cause when we chatted, you were like, yeah, but what happens when you don't accomplish something?
It gives
on the
me
list?
anxiety to look at your list. I'll be honest. I'll say it right now. Every time I look at your list, I start to sweat.
I do put a lot of shit on that list
It's a lot,
on a
dude.
daily basis. But all the things that I put on that list, a lot of them are built on that self growth.
80% of them feel like they are, right?
They are.
Yeah.
I try to keep track of what I do. Like, biggest thing on my list when it comes down to work is I originally put timestamps on them of like 30 minutes of meditating and 15 minutes of reading at lunch. Now I just put meditate/ground and read. And I just like, I try to do as much as I can. Some days I'll do 25 minutes of meditating. Some days I'll do 30. I fluctuated around. So I'm trying not to make that routine something that's so like locked in. But I know that the days when I'm on, man, and I get all my stuff done and I get to the end of that day and I didn't overexert myself, I was like, yeah, this was a lot, but I feel great. That's the version of me who's the homesteader and the entrepreneur that I want to become. And that's the version of me that when I'm like, you're going to have to take care of yourself, man. You're going to have to get up and you're going to have to tend to your crops. And like, I got such goofy things on my list of like water the garden. That should just be a habit, like every day. But I like to remind myself to water the garden and check it off and be like, yeah, I know that took about 15, 20 minutes of my time. So I want to document that I did that. But trying to build out this like, who's harder of a worker, the homesteader or the entrepreneur? Like initially I was like, dude, it's the homestead. They got to take care of themselves. They got to learn the seasons. They got to learn how to do everything to make themselves completely self-sufficient. And then I sat there and danced with it. And I was like, dude, trying to create something from complete scratch is what an entrepreneur does. In my eyes, a true entrepreneur, not someone who just like, I don't know, I'll get a lot of flack for saying this, but like someone who just like, oh, that guy's making a lot of money doing SaaS or something along the lines, or copywriting or something like that, I'm going to do that too. And to me, I don't view that as being an entrepreneur. I'm sorry. You can get really upset. I do think that building your own company and that kind of stuff is great. But to me, like a true entrepreneur is someone who strived to go solve a problem, someone's problem. And like, not, I guess like it's wrong for me to say that like copying someone else doesn't define you as an entrepreneur. I feel like there's something more to it that gives it more flavor. If you did it for yourself, if you created something on your own, if you came up with an idea or you tried to solve someone's problem, it could be as simple as literally a beer koozie, man. Like the beer koozie, that was huge when that thing became something. But now being someone who's like, I know that it's bold for me to say, but like being someone who's like print on demanding, literally beer koozies of just like memes and stuff like that to put on a beer koozie and get someone to buy it. To me, I feel like that's just a capitalist who's capitalizing on something out there versus the guy who was like, I literally created this new like beer opener for your wall. And yes, I'm selling the plans online for you to be able to make it yourself, but I also sell them myself. And like, he's a woodworker. He does the whole thing. It's a beer. It catches it. It's so cool. It's awesome. Literally a Plinko board or something like that. To me, like that's someone who created something and did it for themselves and wasn't like a copycat. And I know that's, once again, I'm sitting here saying that that is so wrong of me to have that type of personal view, but it's just how I feel.
Yeah, I keep falling back on the word fulfillment. Like I think that it's so huge in this instance of what's going to fulfill you, and whatever the answer to that question is probably the hardest thing you could possibly imagine. But it's probably the thing that's calling you the most too. So like with an entrepreneur, like, yeah, like, and like you said, I think going back to the flavor that you add when it's something you do completely from yourself, all the best things in life are when you do it completely from scratch or, by yourself. You cook a home cooked meal or you make somebody a gift. Like my girlfriend's favorite gift isn't something I bought, it's something I made.
Yeah.
And I think like that feeling of fulfillment is the hardest thing to achieve, but it's the thing that we should probably be focused on most. And then I think of like the entrepreneur on the homestead side. It's exactly what I fell on too, as far as an entrepreneur, I think, has so much more ability to fake it till they make it. Like no one making political t-shirts right now, in my opinion, is a true entrepreneur. They're just taking advantage of old people on Facebook, probably, to be honest with you. But, I think there's definitely hardships to both. But I look at the homesteader of like, you're going and you're building something. It's you versus nature. You're building something completely for yourself and you're maintaining it completely for yourself. There's so many ways for an entrepreneur to just set something up, let AI run it. Once the business starts selling, I just sit back and do my own thing and I'm off to the next project, whatever. It's no matter what that may be. And sure, that's not the definition of true entrepreneur on my side, but it falls back to what I find harder. I think, yeah, got to go out and you got to know what the reason is, what the question you're answering is. Know that the journey is to end up with the answer of fulfillment and then going after it. That's the hard part. I don't think either of these are harder than each other. If I had answers, probably the homesteader, but I think it's the understanding of what you align with most and then understanding where fulfillment comes once you've achieved a certain status in that job or that lifestyle.
I look at a guy who he started making literal envelopes and he does a killing on Facebook with older folks because your grandma always sends you letters and stuff like that, right? So all he does is literally you pay him and he buys 100 box of envelopes and literally stamps them with your information, sells them to your house or sends them to your house. And now you don't have to write your information on those letters when you send them out.
That's hilarious because we literally have bought a stamper and all you have to do is buy 100 envelopes, buy a stamper, and then give yourself a week, and then boom, 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 you're done.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That guy's a G.
He's to me, like, that was a guy who solved a problem for older folk. He's doing a killing. It was a great, like, idea. Like, it's not groundbreaking. He didn't create a new element, but it was something that was actually like a problem. He saw the problem. He brought a solution for the problem, and he's doing a killing off of it. I think that's badass. I think that is, to me, like the definition. Could that be classified as him just copying something? I don't frickin' know. I mean, you can argue that back and forth against me because it's too easy to argue against my bullshit.
He's a printmaker.
Yeah. Which, to me, I don't see anything crazy. Like I said, he solved a problem.
Yeah, and I'm sure that guy would also say, hey, is your job hard? And he would go, no. No,
Right.
My job is not. I am not rebuilding shelter when a tornado comes through. I am not planting crops and harvesting. I'm not. That's where I fall on the homesteader. I just think that's so much more intense, and there's so many risks that you take, and there's no one to turn to but yourself in that situation.
It's all on you. If the family doesn't eat, the family doesn't eat. I mean, if we're talking self-sufficient, completely, everything's
That's the way I
coming
look at
from,
it.
just everything comes from your garden, or you slaughter your own animals. That's crazy. That's, to me, that's badass. But again, like, I can't even correlate the two of them. But like, for me, I want to be a version of both of them. That's what I'm trying to strive towards. And the thing that I'm running from right now, that I'm literally keep spending weekends not doing, is literally being the entrepreneur that I want to be. Because I have a lot of things that, like, I feel like I have the solution to them, but like, I find it hard to like want to charge somebody. Like, I just want to give this shit away is kind of where I'm going at. Like, I just want, like, I don't know. I have a hard time looking at like the gurus and all that kind of stuff. And like, you want to sit there and go like, yeah, but if this was like old school times, like, I would go to the monk, and like the monk wouldn't charge me to literally learn the teachings. Like, the monk is just there to pass on his wisdom to the next person. So that's kind of what I want to be. But like, how do you survive in this world where you're just literally a monk who's giving everything away for free and like not charging anybody? Like, I know, like, we got the Dismount podcast, like, Discord all built out to where we could start building communities in there. And I want to build the Weekend Wild Warrior community out, and I want to build the Dismount community out. How do we leverage those? And that's the thing, like, it's hard to want to monetize like a community, because then I'm like, is this really a community? If I'm monetizing based off of you joining my community, I'm kind of just benefiting off of your insecurities and this, that. Like, the list could go on and on and on.
I think people would be more willing to pay you if they see reciprocating benefit too. You know, you have to offer them something in exchange that they find beneficial too.
Yeah, but at what point in time are you just the guy who's just like, you can do it, don't cry?
Odds are you probably are that guy.
I'm definitely that guy.
No,
You're
not
making
you,
money.
just in general, if you're charging somebody, yeah, you're probably that guy. Unfortunately,
Goggening.
yeah, you're goggening. Goggening is
That's a freaking
term
crazy
of the day.
hilarious. That's a term of the day.
Quit goggening.
So I would say this was an absolutely kick-ass conversation on hard work. I definitely would like to roll out with where you're defining hard work going forward, because you had some absolutely fantastic, and I know we're kind of jumping back, but I want to give you the opportunity to literally talk about this, like, not being able to let things go in a healthy way, and also Jim Rohn, always work harder on yourself than you do on your job.
So I'll start with Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn, if anyone here listening right now is like, who the hell is Jim Rohn? Write his name down. Honestly, that guy's one of the best people to learn from, as far as just, if you want to be a self-starter, he's one of the people. Another name you need to know is Stephen Covey. Those might be the only two names that you need. But Jim Rohn, he talks about, he was a guy that he was struggling, and he came across this mentor, and the mentor to him said, Jim, you're a smart guy. You have a family. I think you should try to become a millionaire. Yeah, you should be a millionaire. He's like, well, really? You think I should? He's like, yeah. And he's like, not because of making the $1 million. You could lose it the next day. He's like, yeah, I did lose it. He said, but it's what it'll make out of you. That's what you need. So that guy, he made $1 million, lost it. But then you know what he did? He made it all over again because of what he became in the next 5 years. And he talks about not just the things that you do at work, it's the things you do outside of work. It's who you're becoming. And he always talks about work harder on yourself than you do on your job. I also learned from him, something that been ingrained in me is, the work that you put in outside of work, it does come through. And a lot of people disagree on me, but, so don't work for free. If you're working after hours, that's bullshit. You should be paid for that. Right. I agree to an extent. You should be working only when you're getting paid. But are you trying to make yourself like a top performer? If the answer is yes, then you're probably going to be working after hours, and you're not necessarily always going to get paid for it. If I never worked after hours and didn't bill for it, all of the people I work with would think I'm a lazy piece of shit and that I don't do a good job. Just before we got here, today's my off day. You know how many times I talked on the phone, answered emails? It was ridiculous.
8.
8's actually a good number. That's a good guess. That might be the number. 8. Nobody's supposed to talk to me today. I could think before 10 a.m., I would say the number is at least 5. Before 10 a.m., we'll just shoot for 4. But the thing I associate with hard work in my relationship is the sense of guilt. I have a sense of Catholic guilt where I have a problem letting things go. And sometimes that's a really good thing. Sometimes it's bad. Sometimes it eats you alive. But sometimes that's a damn good thing because, you could be doing, I had a good way I put it. I hope it's in this section of notes. You could always be busy or you could always be doing the right thing. And sometimes it's really hard to do the right thing. And when something's right, you have that little voice in your head that's like, for me, this happened to me when I was machining. I could just run a part, finish, leave it go, or I could check and make sure it's right. And for me, parts I was working on were medical parts. So to me, that meant, no, always do the right thing. My great-grandmother, she had a toe that was actually surgically removed, put back on, and sewed on upside down. So always do the right thing. She didn't sue them. Yeah, my great-grandmother lived the rest of her life with an upside-down toe, and she didn't sue.
How the hell do you clip your toenails?
I don't know, but
Damn, that was the first thing that went through my head.
To go get a pedicure?
yeah, but I took that with me when I would make medical parts. Even though my parts were all trials for the most part, they use this like they would try on a pair of shoes, and then you buy your real pair of shoes. But for me, I always took it super seriously, and I was like, you need to treat every single part like it's going in your body. Even if the customer doesn't catch it, I don't care. You need to catch every single mistake, every single flaw, and if it's a bad part, get rid of it. So I always took my Catholic guilt, or whatever kind of guilt you want to associate it with, as it could be something working against you, or for the most part, it's working with me because I have a hard time letting things go. I even got, this past weekend, I had some pit students be like, you take your job too seriously. I'm like, in back man, I'm like, I don't get smart with every customer, but I really wanted to throw it to them because they're all being drunk and belligerent. But, yeah, like in my head, I'm like, no one's keeping you guys accountable. It's not that I'm taking my job too seriously. You guys have never been held accountable to actually just behave. Like, what? I don't want to put out all my cards, but you guys are in a public place and you're getting super, super drunk and you guys have no shame. I'm like, have some damn shame, damn it. Like, have some pride. Be a person. Granted, I will throw some props to some other people. I turned around and I saw a group of 20-year-olds picking up trash and throwing it in trash bags. They weren't just cleaning up their trash. They were cleaning up other people's trash. So that's the shit that I'm talking about. That's the good kind of guilt. Make sure that you do the right thing, not just what you want to do. So to me, hard work comes down to doing the right thing. And when you know something's wrong, just don't ignore it. Like, come back to it. Be that guy. People say you take your job too seriously. Just be like, so? So what? You have a problem with me being a good worker? Well, shove it up your ass.
I love it. I thought it 8 because of the Lynn Swan jersey.
8. Yeah, it's probably
It was
probably
the
8.
double 8s right in front of my face. Is why I
Honestly-
thought of 8.
Honestly, this isn't my first day off when I've been showering and having work calls while I'm trying to shower on my day off.
Goodness gracious!
And I'm trying to go visit family and do things with family, and I'm getting calls, and I'm like, or text messages, and one of them was literally, can I call you in 10 minutes? I'm like, can I just call you while I'm getting ready?
Yeah.
I'm late now because of all the text messages. So, and actually, yeah, it's funny you said 8. It's probably actually now 8 because I remember before I got here, I was leaving the eye doctor and I was getting a bunch of messages. So, yeah, it's probably about 8.
It's
At
crazy.
least.
Jeez, that's such a great way to wrap it up, Tit. Like, thinking about everything that I just spewed out for an hour, we probably could have cut this episode to the last 2 minutes of Brandon talking, where I was trying to figure out all these reasons why I work hard on some things or work hard on other things. But like the real basis is for me now moving forward is like we're inherently stuck with our gut feeling, this like our consciousness. You can't avoid it. And if I were just look at the inner or outer work or whatever it is, if I would just boil it down to the words doing the right thing, which I know what the right thing is in 99% of situations.
Yeah.
What a wonderful fucking life.
I also have somebody who's doing the wrong thing many times over, and it pisses me off every time. And I'm like, where are your parents? I almost just let myself out a little bit. I'm like, who raised you? Like, come on. Like, I don't want to list examples, but there's very clear things you shouldn't be doing. And sometimes people go and do it. I won't just say employees, customers, people lie through their teeth at you, and you're just like, you and I both know.
Yep.
We both know, and you're just playing the game. It was like, you're not here to work to play a game. You're here to work. I mean, work doesn't have to be hard. And my brother Nick put it a really good way. He says, hey, we don't come to work to have fun, but that doesn't mean we can't have fun while we're at work. That's all it is. You can
Yeah.
have fun, but like, show up, do the right thing, and keep doing the right thing every day that you get paid to do it.
Yeah, for me riding out, I would say that my defining, definition with where hard work is for me is to actually start chasing that entrepreneur life that I want. And that means spending a weekend, not literally saying, oh, I'm working on Dismount all weekend, so I'm so busy, but actually taking the time to start developing myself into the person who I want to with the media company, which my whole goal with the media company is to be able to go around and tell people's stories who don't have an intention to learn scripts and learn, storytelling and learn how to edit and learn how to, film, all those type of things. I enjoy that so much, and I love telling people stories. So look to me to start the ZZ Nix BTS behind the scenes and start really sharing that drive to learn those things for myself. You got anything, player? You said it. You said it right before I did.
Yeah.
You did. You want to ride out on anything, Tit?
Hey, I just want to thank everybody for joining us today and let them know, what you're doing, probably the right thing. You might just need a little steering, but, keep grinding, come back. I'll say it again. Do the right thing. Listen to your gut.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
As the squad always says, don't trust us, trust yourself. This is your life, and it's your time, and it's your experience. So make it the best for yourself. And we appreciate you guys. See you on the next one.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks again for tuning into episode 31, Hard Work. In your head or a proven track record? Don't hesitate to catch our next release, episode 32, Relationships, the feels of an old wooden roller coaster. Can you think of a better example? Relationships are rough, exciting, reckless and adventurous, the ups and downs, a lot of maintenance, timeless fun, or aging misery. Whoa. Don't hesitate to jump in and catch out that next release. We'll see you guys on the next one. Appreciate you guys tuning in as always. Take care.